Hello, welcome back. I'm Shlomo Maital. I'm very happy that you've stuck with us to tool number 9. We've gone through the toolbox and we've discussed tools that are proven useful concepts or frameworks or methods to help you build your startup and to transform your great world-changing idea from an idea into a business that creates value for many, many people. Tool number 9 is called Real Options. This tool is a little unusual. The other tools are widely used, at least the concept is widely used. I have a feeling that tool number 9 is greatly underused. And as you'll see in a moment, that's really strange, because the notion of a financial option is the basis of a global financial market that is 10 times bigger than world GDP. So financial options are widely used, perhaps too widely used, but real options, the idea of thinking of a startup as a kind of an option, that doesn't seem to be that widely used. And I'm not sure why that is, but in any case, we'll go through the notion of a real option, define it, understand it, and I'll show you how it can be used. Just to give you a quick introduction to show you why this is important. Let's imagine, you and I, imagine that we're building a beautiful house, a villa, on a high cliff overlooking the ocean. And we build this beautiful house, and in the house we put only one door, the front door, which you use to go in and out, and no windows. No windows. That would be insane, right? Yet many people think of their startup business as a villa on a cliff overlooking the ocean with one door or no doors and no windows. And why is that? Because we don't build flexibility and options and decision points and opportunities into our business model. And that's the point of an option. We have the right to do something, and that right only happens after you've started a business, and that business has windows and doors, and you discover many opportunities you would never have known about if you hadn't actually started the business and got into the real world. So let's now understand what a financial option is, and then define a real option in the world of real investment, things that are tangible, not just pieces of paper, and then see how we can apply that as a useful, powerful tool for building a successful startup. A financial option is the right to buy or sell a stock or some other asset that's traded, usually in markets, at a defined price called a strike price during a defined period of time. The right to buy an asset is called a call option. You call it. And the right to sell an asset is called a put option. And the world market for financial options is enormous. There's a little story behind that. The bottom of the screen, you can see something called the Black-Scholes option pricing equation mentioned. I wouldn't put the equation up on the screen, but I can mention the name of it after Fisher Black, an MIT finance professor, and Myron Scholes, University of Chicago, or possibly Stanford, I not recall exactly, finance professor. And together they cracked or solved a difficult differential equation to show how to price an option, which before then we really didn't know how to price it, how to set a price on it. They made a lot of assumptions. The formula probably is not exactly accurate because of those assumptions, but so many people jumped on it, adopted it, and used it that the Black-Scholes option pricing equation itself has now become reality. Because if everybody believes it and uses it, then all option prices will conform precisely to that equation. A good example of how perception is in fact reality. And so the financial option market is enormous. It's part of something called the derivatives markets. And according to one calculation, the total amount of derivatives traded in the world, the value of derivatives, financial assets, including options. They're called derivatives because they're derived from underlying stocks or bonds or real assets. The total market is estimated at $700 trillion. That's over 10 times world GDP. It's an enormous, enormous market, and it's mostly run by the world's big banks who make a great deal of money from these markets. Incidentally, just before the financial bubble popped in 2007, the derivatives market was $500 trillion. So today we have a much bigger derivatives market than we did before the financial bubble popped, and it popped in large part because of these risky derivatives. So what is a real option? A real option, like a financial option, is the right, not the obligation. It's the right. And you don't have to exercise it if it's not profitable. So you can't lose here with an option, because the worst that happens is that you don't exercise your right. It's the right to invest in a real business or a product or a process during a defined period of time as a result of a previous investment. You built a factory, it turns out to be unsuccessful, so you don't expand it or you even close it. You build a factory and the product is really hot, so you have the option to expand the factory and double its capacity. In visiting China some years ago, I visited a pharmaceutical company, and they had an enormous plot of land and a fairly small factory, and they were on the way to doubling and tripling its capacity because their product, traditional Chinese medicine, was very successful. They were exercising their option. So this is the simple idea. And you can think of a real option like our villa on the cliff overlooking the ocean as some beautiful house that has a lot of windows. And you can only see out of those windows if you're actually in this beautiful villa. So we built it and we have windows and we look out and we see opportunities that we wouldn't have seen had it not been for building the house. We do a startup company and we use that company as an instrument for gathering intelligence, information about what's going on in the world, preferences, trends, sociology, politics, technology. And then we spot opportunities and very carefully, not opportunistically, we invest in them, we exercise our real option. So the tool here, tool number 9, real options, is very simple. Take your creative idea, do your startup, start your startup company, and then build it as a series of windows and doors, things that create opportunities that you can seize or pass by. It doesn't mean that you lose focus in your business. You need to keep focused on your specialty, on your comparative advantage, on your differentiating feature. But you're also alert for new business opportunities, and we'll have some examples of that. Most businesses are kind of like Darwin's species. As the environment changes, they need to evolve. The dinosaurs disappeared, although they lasted a long, long time. They were perfectly suited for their environment, except when the world got really cold as a result of an asteroid covering the Earth in dust and concealing the sun and making the world very cold, and the dinosaurs are cold-blooded, and they couldn't survive in this new frigid world. They weren't able to adapt. Your company needs to be able to adapt to unexpected black swan events that we talked about in the previous tool. So another way to think about the real options idea is to think about a limited access toll highway, high-speed highway. Many countries have these, and they can take you very quickly from one place to another. Israel has a highway called Highway 6. It's a toll highway, 3 lanes on both sides in many places. Great highway. and it has lots of exits. But think of a limited access highway that only had one entry point and one exit point at the very end. Unless you were going from one place to another precisely where the highway goes, it wouldn't be of any value at all. So why build your business that way? Why not build possible multiple exits into other opportunities and increase the value of your company? There's so many examples. An Israeli entrepreneur, perhaps the father of Israeli entrepreneurs, named Efi Arazi, passed away some time ago. Efi Arazi was an entrepreneur who traveled to MIT with $50 in his pocket, knocked on the door and asked to be admitted to MIT, and he didn't even have a high school diploma. Fortunately, the admissions officer saw something in this intrepid young man, allowed him in, and he was soon working for a company while studying that employed some of the professors who were teaching him electrical engineering. He came home to Israel after 67, I guess around 68, started a company called Cytex. He was an expert on scanning technology, and he had the idea that they would scan pictures and then print colored pictures on t-shirts. And that was the start of a company called Cytex, text from textiles and technology. He soon saw that that idea wasn't too great, but he found another use for his technology, color offset printing. Offset printing with new technology, instead of making very expensive plates, you could use digital technology and scanning technology to create beautiful color offset printing at very high quality. And that really was a profitable market. He wouldn't have known about that market if he hadn't started his company and implemented the technology and had a window. And that window, looking through it, he saw the opportunity in the color offset printing business. I sometimes visit a company called Wix in Israel. You may have heard of it. Wix makes templates for building websites. Very simple, easy to maintain, beautiful websites, and they've done very well. They've done an initial public offering of stock, but now they've exercised a real option, and they're moving on to from building websites to helping small businesses and medium-sized businesses build e-commerce businesses. Not just the website, but the whole concept of how you do e-commerce and how you sell to the world when you're a fairly small company and your brick and mortar shop can only reach a very limited number of companies. Build real options into your idea. Be on the alert for real options. Don't be distracted by every idea that comes along. But when you see an opportunity, seize it. You know, Louis Pasteur, the great French scientist, the Nobel Prize winner, Louis Pasteur once said, "Chance favors the prepared mind." So start your company, implement your idea, prepare your mind, scan the horizon, put lots of windows in and lots of doors, and when you see a great opportunity, then seize it. Exercise your real option. Now, the way you ask questions, the way you frame questions is often very important. Conventionally, we simply say, shall we start a business or not? And with real options, we say, let's start it and see how it goes, and we may bail out, or we may go on to do something else, and we may evolve the business. We're not going to be dinosaurs. Conventionally, we ask, we invest now or never, go or no go. And the real options idea is start small now, do a pilot, expand later as you gather information. You know, a key point in real options theory is that you begin with great uncertainty. You have no idea, basically, what's going on until you actually start something and have a customer. And the moment you do, the uncertainty begins to decline. And as the uncertainty declines, new opportunities arise or new insights. And one insight may be, you know what, our idea, it's not going to work. We're going to close the company rather than lose a great deal of money. We don't want to do this prematurely. Don't bail out too early. Stick to it, persevere. But if you really see clearly, this is a losing idea, people don't need this, it's not creating value, then exercise your option to close the business. You don't have to swallow years of pain and suffering and losses. One of the key points of the real options notion, the way to frame questions, the way to think about your startup business, is that you do not need to suffer the left side of the normal curve. The idea is that a business is like a statistical distribution, a bell curve, or what we call a normal curve, normal distribution. That means that there are certain probabilities of losing a huge amount, breaking even, or making a great deal of money. And each of those scenarios or possibilities has a probability on the y-axis. And it's kind of distributed like a bell curve, kind of like the distribution of IQ, for example, or height, or anything else. The point here is, though, that a startup really isn't a bell curve, because as you start it and you gather information, and when you see that you're moving toward the left side of that normal distribution, the minus, maybe a big minus, you cut it off. You can simply close the business or do something else. Move on to a different product. You don't have to swallow that left-hand part of the normal curve with the big, big minus. And that's a great boon. That's of great value, that option to bail out. The reason for that is that sometimes we think of a startup as a financial calculation where you do what's called discounted cash flow. You add up the pluses and the minuses. You use a discount rate or an interest rate to calculate present value. Many of you know how to do that. And you reach a number, and that number represents the value today of your business idea. But that may not be correct, because that number builds into it that big minus sign on the left-hand side of the bell curve. And if you could gather information, and then as uncertainty declines, as the fog lifts and you see we're heading to a minus, you just cut it off, truncate it. And that can add tremendous value to your startup idea if you can build it in, again, without prematurely bailing out. There are several types of real options that you can build into your startup idea and into your business plan. And of course, the business plan is tool number 10, which is the next and last tool awaiting us. Option to delay. Sometimes there's real value. Let's wait and see how this develops. Are people understanding our product? Is the marketing developed? Option to abandon. If you're really in a losing business, truncate it and close the doors without sentiment. Go on and do something else. I know entrepreneurs who've done that repeatedly, successful entrepreneurs, and they see that their latest one isn't working, close the doors, and they walk down the street and start something new. You have the option to expand. Build a pilot plant, see if it goes well. If it does, build it up, expand it. Exploit a new opportunity created by a bad idea. Our initial product was not so great, but it opened the door to another one, and we're going to go for that one, which seems to be a lot better. There's danger in options. I realize there is a danger. If you have too many windows and doors in your beautiful villa, in your startup, it may be tempting to lose focus, to try too many things, to broaden your portfolio and not do anything really well, or to walk out the door 2 days before the business really starts to take off. So keep in mind, options, flexibility, resilience. This is not flightiness. This is not opportunism. We have perseverance, and we know we have to persevere with our idea if you really believe in it. So there's a fine line between a window that creates opportunities and a door that enables you to flee too soon, just before your business starts to take off and become successful. On your screen, you can see questions that test your understanding. Please go to the assignment section and see if you understand the notion of a real option. I might mention here that there is a Harvard Business Review article by Timothy Luhrmann. It's from 1998, July-August 1998, called Investment Opportunities as Real Options, Getting Started on the Numbers. And this shows you how to actually take a business idea and calculate the real option value using 5 parameters. And finally, our action learning assignment. So for your idea in action learning, rethink your business idea and try to build into it kind of a roadmap with decision points that embody real options. Go, no go, explore other options, expand and accelerate, or abandon. So in your business plan, in your business design and thinking, can you create many doors and many windows in your business design to gather new information and to lower uncertainty? And in your business plan, your business presentation, the more you can show that you're aware of the option notion, the value of windows, the better your business prospects will be. That concludes tool number 9, and next we're going to move ahead to our last tool, our summary tool. Pull it all together, pull all the tools together, and think about how you build a winning business plan.